and go.
All right, Mike. Mike over here. Obviously, I feel like for the last several years, we've been building up that one fight that you didn't get with Conor, and then the Charles fight was the rematch. So it's been a while since we've talked to you before you've been ready to face a new guy on fight week. So I guess when they came to you with Paddy said he knew this fight was happening back in December, and it maybe was on you. Maybe you didn't want to get back in right away. So I guess what went through your mind when they gave you Paddy, and then I guess how long quickly did it take you to sign that contract?
I'm a guy who is not afraid to take risks and brave the unknown and do ill-advised things to the masses at times, but I also am a man of my word. So when the UFC approached me about it, the answer was yes. I just don't know timeline-wise. I had some injuries I needed to take care of, clean up after the Charles fight. That was a tough battle for a couple months, but I wanted to make sure that I was going to be able to make the timeline for the UFC. We talked about June, we talked about April, and then ultimately, it came down to, hey, I'm ready to just jump back in there. I'm healthy, I'm ready, and I have a bad taste in my mouth from that last fight with Charles. I felt like I was about to have the best performance of my life, and had a little thing happen to me inside the octagon, which changed the entire thing. So now we're back, we're ready. We've had a phenomenal training camp, and it was ready to roll. And I'm glad I made that decision. I just had a daughter born a couple days ago, so I got some extra motivation. Got to go out there, get my hand raised, finish Paddy Pimblett in spectacular fashion, and go home and be the dad to 3 children.
So first daughter.
First daughter, man. First daughter,
dad.
Little Drew, D-R-U, 3 letters, 1 syllable, just like Happinace. I guess that's what the Chandlers do. So I'm excited. I mean, it's going to be good.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's been a while since we've seen you, fighting down in the rankings, and I know you want to fight up, but do you kind of view Paddy as maybe the biggest name in terms of attention it will bring outside of Conor and obviously fighting Islam for the belt? It seems like Paddy's the one everyone talks about in the division.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this is a sport. It's the X's and the O's. It's about wins and losses. It's about rankings, but it's also about being in fights that people care about. This is a fight that people care about. Anytime I step inside the octagon, anytime Paddy steps inside the octagon, people care. People are going to watch to hopefully watch us lose or hopefully watch us win if they're a fan of us, right? So we've both got that, and this fight has all the makings of the people's main event. And I've only had my back up against the wall twice in the UFC thus far. Obviously, the first time was the coming into the UFC debut. I had everything to gain, but I had a lot to lose. And obviously, we saw how I finished Dan Hooker in 2.5 minutes. And then a couple fights later, back up against the wall against Tony Ferguson, who was ranked number 7 or number 8, and I was number 5. And it was a kind of a risky situation. And we all saw the KO of the year, SportsCenter #1, top 10. So I thrive in these moments, and I believe Saturday night will be very similar to the last 2.
I watched that documentary on YouTube about you. I think it was called like 688 Days, and it used phrases like you've been quote-unquote trying mixed martial arts for the last 15 years, and then you were reflecting on that string of setbacks in Bellator against Will Brooks and everyone, and you used the phrase like you were forgetting how good you were before you got back into the win column. So I guess how does this string of setbacks kind of compare to how you felt back then? Is it that much different considering now that you have all these kids and you're in the UFC and everything?
Yeah, I mean, more than anything, I needed to go through that first little streak to really find out who I am. You need to go through struggle. You need to go through setbacks. You need to go through these trials in order to find out who you are. 688 days without a win at that point in my career was like a death sentence to my career, right? I'm 12-0, finished 10 fights, 9 in the first or second round. All I did was win, and all of a sudden I didn't get my hand raised against Eddie in the rematch. And I had the next fight had an injury, but still kind of forced myself into it to try to get back in the win column, and lost to a guy I shouldn't have lost to, and then lost again. It was a tough time, but now I look back on it as the greatest blessing, second greatest blessing. I'll talk about something else later in my book that's coming out, and also I don't know if we talked about it in that documentary, but bad things have to happen in order for you to find out exactly who you are. And now I don't even know what kind of streak I'm on or how many fights I've lost or won or how many days it's been. It doesn't matter because it's about the journey. It's so much less about focusing and hyper-focusing, being maniacal about the wins and the losses and being perfect. I'm just trying to be successful. I'm not trying to be perfect. I'm trying to be successful.
Paddy's also used the phrase, like, in his mind when he's preparing, he's like, well, Mike's the guy that's trying to take food out of my kids' mouths, like, because he just had twins too. So do you get that mindset, like maybe he has to build you up as this guy that's the bad guy, but he might not actually hate you outside of the octagon?
No, he don't hate me, and that's what's beautiful about this sport, man. You know, I got a ton of respect for Paddy. I hope I separate him from consciousness without too much bodily harm and lasting impressions. But with that being said, I hope he gets up and we hug it out and he goes back to his family. Like that's what we do, and he wants the same exact thing for me. We all have a ton of respect for each other because we know the sacrifices that we have to make, and some of us make more than others, and some of us, you know, are a little bit lukewarm, and some of us are all in. I believe I'm all in, so I believe I deserve to win. But yeah, I am, you know, trying to take the food off of his table, and he's trying to take the food off of mine. So we're just going to go out there and we're going to compete. And luckily we get to do it under the brightest lights and the biggest stage in the world, which is the Ultimate Fighting Championships.
And just last one for me. You said you had a book coming out, correct? And
we're not sure when it comes out, but we just finished the first final manuscript, so we're excited.
And you just had a song that's coming out too?
Yeah, well, actually I have a song coming out Thursday at midnight with Akira the Don as well. And then I wrote a song with Red Farron, and yeah, a lot of stuff happening. Yeah, so we got some good stuff.
Do you ever feel burnout at all? Because like juggling all that with getting in fist fights probably seems like a lot.
No, not really. I think I do, and I don't know if this is right. I got to really unpack it if I'm going to speak to young MMA fighters, but I do a really good job of compartmentalizing and decompressing. I do not live in the mixed martial arts gym. I believe if I lived in the mixed martial arts gym, my career would have ended a couple years ago because it's just too much toll on your body. So when I am outside of training camps, I'm doing a lot of strength and conditioning. I'm keeping my cardio up. I'm supplementing perfectly nonstop, and I'm eating what I should be eating to just look like a professional athlete so I can prolong my career. And taking little side projects. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a businessman. I'm an investor. So I'm just doing all kinds of other things that make me feel alive and trying to serve as many people as I possibly can. And mixed martial arts, fighting in the UFC is just my shiny object that gets people to look my direction.
Mike, right here to your right. Down here, sorry. You know, there's another name that's going to appear on this card that you have some history with, obviously, and that's Patricio Pitbull. Just curious, how do you think he does in the UFC, and how do you think he does against Yair?
No idea. You never know. I mean, that's why we love this sport. Whether you're 1,001 underdog or 1,001 favorite, anybody can win, anybody can lose. Now you take that out. You ask me, is Patricio a competitor? Is he a championship level competitor? Absolutely. Is he violent? Is he dangerous? Does he live it? Absolutely. Yair Rodriguez is a perennial top guy though, so it's a tough test, but it's what we want. I'm not going to speak for Patricio, but I'm sure there were many, many moments where he watched a UFC on a Saturday night or came to a media day with one of his guys he was cornering and wished he was here. And now he gets the opportunity, just like I did a couple years ago, and it was the right decision for me, and I think it's the right decision for Patricio. I wish him the best. We just saw each other in the lobby, shook hands a little bit, tried to squash the beef a little bit. You know, he and I have some history. But, man, we'll never fight again. I wish him the best, and we'll watch on Fight Night and see how it comes out.
You just said you'll never fight again. He has talked about maybe fighting in different weight classes while he's here in the UFC. So do you just think that's done and your paths have diverged for good?
I don't think so. I'm not interested in that. I'm also the kind of guy where I think the masses would say, I mean, there's a misconception, or maybe not. Some people will probably like this. I'm not the type of guy who needs to get revenge. I really don't. I sleep just fine at night, knowing I've had my losses and I've taken my L's, and I don't need to right the wrong, because ultimately fighting is not the most important thing in my life. So I don't need to right any wrongs.
And then the other name that you're constantly, kind of linked to is obviously Conor. Just a quick one on that. What do you think of his presidential bid for Ireland?
I think you should vote. I think you should vote for Conor McGregor for president of Ireland if you're a resident of Ireland. No, I mean, I don't know. You don't know what's up with, what Conor's thinking. He's got, you talk about me, burnout and busy and whatnot. I mean, that guy's got his hands in 1,000 different things, for better or worse. So I think, we'll see what happens. It could just be a political stunt. Could just be for attention. Not a bad move if it is, and we'll see.
last one. What do you make of Paddy during this fight week? He's a guy who sometimes has beefed with opponents, sometimes beefed with fighters that he's not fighting, but you guys have been very, very cordial. Is this what you expected?
Not necessarily. I didn't quite know. Thank you. Sorry, it's measured out perfectly. Can't drink this one. I wasn't sure, honestly, what to expect, to be honest with you. I know he's got some funny trash talk. He likes to get in the mix. He's not afraid. He's got that Scouser accent. But ultimately, Paddy and I have crossed paths many times. After I was at his fight against Ferguson, I came up to him, congratulated him, because why not? Even if he's in my weight class, even if I knew he was a young, hungry star on the rise, could be coming to be sitting right here someday to fight me, the sport's about respect. And I respect the heck out of him. And, he was like, I wasn't able to do what you did to him, but I got the win. And I was like, hey, man, you did great. We're very cordial. We don't need to hate each other to go out there and try to steal the show. Chandler versus Pimblett is the people's main event, and we will steal the show on Saturday night. And we'll shake hands and maybe share a point after.
Thank you.
Mike,
How do you say it? Point? Point.
Mike, you said you recently said you love your losses. You were a 2-time runner-up at the Big 12 championships. How did you deal with your losses then versus how do you deal with them now?
Back then, college was tough, self-inflicted. I made the sport of wrestling way too big. My identity was wrapped up in being a guy who had one goal, and if you or it or there or whatever did not align with that goal, I was not interested in spending any of my time on you. I lost relationships. I didn't go to birthday parties. I didn't go to funerals. I missed all kinds of things because I was all in on the sport of wrestling. And I think that's the way that we need to be to a certain extent, but we can't have our entire identity wrapped up in it. And after, the last time I took those shoulder straps off for the last time in St. Louis, Missouri, after I got done wrestling, I realized how much pressure I put on myself and how much harder I made the sport than it needed to be. And I took that into mixed martial arts. And yeah, I've had my ups and my downs, and I've fallen back into that trap a couple times. But now I realize it's all about the journey. It's not about the wins and the losses. It's all about the journey. As long as you are sowing seeds every single day, that's how you should be judging every single day. Focus on success, not perfections. Focus on the little wins. And that's why I'm living the dream. Whatever happens on Saturday night happens. I know I've prepared. I know I've done everything that I possibly can to get into the win column and get my hand raised. So we'll see what happens.
Last three.
Hey,
Mike.
Mike.
1, 2, 3.
Right here. I'm from Brazil. You fought Charles twice, right? And there's... Take your time.
Yep, twice.
So, how do you see all this movement going on? Like, there's rumors that Islam might move up. Charles might fight Topuria. Topuria, obviously, it's on your division now. How do you see all of that playing? And how do you think, especially for us from Brazil, how do you see Charles doing against a guy like Topuria or Islam again?
It's tough, man. If I'm thinking with my heart, I want Gaethje to get a shot. Gaethje being the number one guy, and then putting that number one ranking on the line against Max Holloway for the BMF belt, and then losing that, so then he drops down a notch. Charles and I were number one contender fight, but now you got Topuria coming up. You got Poirier retiring. You got Islam talking about going up to 170. There's a bunch of rumblings about that in the media and things that he has said. So the coolest thing is just being a part of the most interesting division in the world. It's interesting from all the things that you just mentioned, I just mentioned, but it's also interesting because every single one of those guys shows up to fight. Charles is a consummate professional. Even though I've lost to him, I don't hate him. He just did his job, and I respect the heck out of him. And obviously he's up in that conversation, top two. Maybe next for the title shot, BMF belt, whatever it may be. So we'll see.
Just one more quick one. Is your book going to be called See You at the Top or Walk On?
It's not going to be See You at the Top because Zig Ziglar wrote a book called See You at the Top. So everybody knows Zig Ziglar coined the phrase See You at the Top. It's not me. I'm just the one who made it famous in the mixed martial arts realm. So it won't be called See You at the Top. We're not sure what the title will be yet. But yeah, it's obviously a lot about walking on and see you at the top in 688 days and all the things I've gone through. But it's a working title right now. I will be the first book published under Gordon Publishing by world-renowned author John Gordon, who just started his publishing company. So it's a pretty awesome opportunity. I'm excited to share it with the world.
You could call it "See You at the Very Top."
Yeah, I could see you at the very top or over the top. Zig used to say, if you do this and you do this and you do this and you do this, I won't just see you at the top. I'll see you over the top. So, yeah.
Danny, last question.
Keeping in mind you fought Poirier, Gaethje, Oliveira, like all the top names at 155. Do you feel like you're taking a step down against Paddy?
No, it's not. I mean, it's not a step down. I mean, because, yeah, you guys would say it's a step down, and everybody who would look at the rankings and that kind of stuff would say step down. But ultimately, I never fought Poirier and Gaethje and Oliveira and all these guys. I fought 2 arms and 2 legs, a torso and a head. You know, it's a body, and I see targets and I have a job to do. So that's the way I see it. That's how I've always approached the sport of mixed martial arts. Try not to get wrapped up in the outside theatrics or the names or the auras or the storylines. And yeah, it's going to be a fun one.
And just real quick, obviously all those names are very decorated. Paddy has yet to achieve the same things that those guys have. So just wondering, do you feel like losing to him, like some people might see it as almost signaling the end of your title contention days or the end of your prime? Do you think about that?
Do you think I've thought about losing?
I'm asking you.
No, haven't thought about losing. So in this sport, I think it's you think about winning, and then you see what the result is. And then if you lose, you recalibrate. If you win, you still recalibrate. So, it's one of those deals where I haven't really thought about that. I've been a competitor since I was 14 years old, and I've always just focused on doing the best that I possibly can to be as prepared as I can, and so be it.
Thank you.
On fight night. Thank you.